Welcome to Surf Dudes with Attitude. Hello, this is Pete from New York City. How y'all doing?
Hello, I'm Zach from Nashville, Tennessee.
And I'm George Howell from Hershey, Pennsylvania, the producer.
Wow. Hello. I don't know when this is coming out, but we just got back from the holidays, so we had a little break. It was good to see you kids.
Haven't seen y'all since last year.
I haven't seen you since camp, Fatso. And fat is going to be the theme of this episode. Zach, you're pretty skinny. George, you're on the
fat.
You're on the thin side now. Zach, were you ever chunky, or has your metabolism always been like?
Before puberty, I had like a little, I had an almost chunky stage, and my mom said I wasn't allowed. I got shamed out of it.
You just weren't allowed to get fat.
Yeah, I mean, my metabolism. I can't help much of the size that I am.
That changes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he's in the clear. He's gonna be like that fucking Jack LaLanne, that like thin great grandpa that just eats Chiquita bananas all day.
Dude, he was 2 when this show came out. Like in a couple years, he'll just like gain 15 pounds overnight, and you'll start having like the worst hangover off of one beer.
I'm ready for it.
I sometimes fantasize about me being a 10-year-old kid hanging out with a 2-year-old Zach and watching this show and what that might look like. Like we had irresponsible parents or something, and they put like me in charge of looking after a 2-year-old. And the best I could come up with was like, oh, our parents are getting day drunk on a Saturday morning. Do you want to watch California Dreams with me, kid?
And of course I want to, because it's like a big kid show, like that would have been really exciting to watch as a young one.
It was. I thought that this is what high school was going to be like. And then when I watched Saved by the Bell, the college years, I thought that's what was college was going to be like. And when I wanted to be a lawyer, Boston Legal, baby. That's not true. I never.
Did you want to be a lawyer?
No, I didn't.
No. Okay.
Before we do get into the episode, a couple things I want to talk about. Obviously, this is available on audio, but we do have a YouTube channel where you can watch us on video. Mm-hmm. Also, we have a Patreon, Surf Dudes with Attitude, that you can go to and get all of our bonus content. Like we do have an extended show and bonus episodes for people to listen to. So just wanted to bring that up real quick.
We do have an extended show. Have we decided what we're going to name it? Are we going to name it The Encore? It's a little on the nose, but it kind of works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any other?
It's band stuff.
We could just call it just band stuff.
It's band stuff.
It'd be like, if you know, you know.
Surf Dudes with band stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious if there's something in the show that's like an equivalent to an encore or like an after party that they go to that's called a certain thing. That'd be the
Sharkeys.
Yeah, everything takes place at Sharkeys, but
that's true. But is this Sharkeys? Like, are we just always at Sharkeys?
Well,
like this is the Sharkeys, and then
we could call it the kitchen or the garage. Okay. But it's a little too broad
for the most part.
They just play there and parties sometimes.
This episode, when they get into like, they finally start talking residency. They don't say the residency, but that's what they're talking about. So
what they're saying.
It's pretty much cementing the fact that we're only going to be seeing Sharkeys venue for a while. So
yeah.
And as George mentioned, we do have a YouTube channel and a Patreon content it's all video. This week we're trying out something new where I have a virtual background because I have a really sad room behind me. But I look like Marty McFly. I'm kind of like losing limbs as it goes on. So
it looks so real.
Don't anybody fear. The sad thing is I bought a green screen for this show and the green screen is not big enough. So it looks worse behind me that there's this sliver outline of sadness.
It wouldn't be so bad if you stopped pretending to be Italian and talking with your hands. What's the matter, you?
Worst
that's not never. But it's okay because I'm half Italian.
Get out of here.
Get lost. So I think it looks great.
Thank you. I think so too. Like,
I think it's very exciting. You made this background.
We made this background for the show. Yeah, my brother.
Great. They are a little bit Italian colors. They are the Italian flag colors a little bit, but not. But it's a little pinker than red.
I think Tortellini Tush would approve.
I think so
of the color palette. Speaking of which, speaking of which, we're going to jump into the 6th episode. There are 13 episodes in this first season, so basically halfway through this episode, we need to stop and celebrate halfway point of this season.
I thought that there are 13 episodes.
Yeah, so I guess
it'll be halfway through the next one.
Damn, I'm going to put my confetti cannon away.
All right. Save it, bud. Yeah,
that's why you can't see the background.
You know what? I actually did. I watched it and then I was like, wait, how many episodes are in this? We're almost halfway done. It's like, not quite.
I know. Well, I mean, the rest of the seasons have more. I think it's like 18 or 19 episodes. So
thank goodness.
They just didn't know. They did not. In the California Dreams producers, like, I don't know if this show's going to be a hit because we only got one venue, right? And
well, do they get more venues in the future though? Does that part actually change, or they just get a school and
they definitely get a school. They get a school, and I think we might be seeing a lot more like bat mitzvahs and shit that they're playing, backyards, maybe a beach luau again.
Mm-hmm. That was a hit.
Bro, I mean, I don't know. They have to at some point play an actual venue. But if they're like there has to be underage shows in California, is there not?
Well, you got the birthday parties. You got the wedding wasn't an underage show, but it's family friendly. Everybody can go there.
Sure. I remember playing did you ever, you played in high school bands? I remember playing, when I was in college, we played with a band that was in high school, and all fucking young kids. Like, I literally want to say like 13, 14, 15. and for their age, they wailed. But I remember getting there and the show was packed. And they came up to us and they're like, "Hey, we're dumb little kids and we have a curfew. Do you mind if we go before you?" And I said no, because I really wanted their crowd to stay. And I don't know, looking back, I think I would have made the same decision. But their band name, are you ready? Was Free Coffee, and it was spelled KAWFEE. And during their set, they played this song from The Hives, I want to say. It was around then that they were popular.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think their set was longer than like 20 minutes. So they just played the Hive song twice.
What?
They played it as their encore, a song that they had already played, because I guess they didn't prepare enough. And they're fucking great. They're really good, but I wanted to teach them a lesson.
And be like, no, hey, it's not my fault that you're going to get in trouble. Like,
yeah,
this is between you and your parents. If you break curfew, sorry, that's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah,
I mean, take some risks, and you got to give me your crowd.
It's so funny. It's been 20 years, and I still would probably make the same decision now. Like, you don't show up and try to switch unless something's happened. Somebody gets in an accident or something. Like, but in that case, it was just like, you have young fans. I don't care. You know. I just want, and it's not like we even had a ton of merch to sell. I just really wanted to play in front of a lot of people, and you know, that never goes away. We are performers first and foremost, and need validation. Very close second. So,
and money somewhere along that line.
Oh my God, that's hilarious! You thought we got paid for that show? That's really good.
It's pretty low on the list. It goes. You discover that later.
So this episode 1-6, season 1, episode 6, Friends First. I love that title. That's
I us. Kind of want to like that is so us, Pete. That is whatever happens in this show, whatever gets in the way, whatever supporters we have who try to break us apart or pit us against each other. We are friends first. I kind of want to. I did not do this before this episode, but as little like fun games we could play. I kind of want to predict what the show might be about based on the title, because so far the last two, Dream Man. Well, Dream Man was one of them. That was a couple ago. And then what was last time? Last time was
Dream Man was last time. Before that was a beat of his own drum.
Oh, what was I?
So we had Battle.
There was one that we were definitely. Oh, double date. Double date. That was one that we were misled. I think that was last week. But anyway,
I think you have blocked out last episode. You blocked out the last episode, Zach. The last episode with Sly being really rapey.
That was rough. That was a rough episode. This show's hard to watch.
I think I put that in the fine print when you signed up. When I begged you to be on this show. So.
You did. You're like, this is from 1992.
There's not. That's all I really need to say. This show's from 1992. George has chimed in and said the next episode is called Guess Who's Coming to Brunch. Now, can you just give me if this is the game you want to play, that you want to kind of guess what the episode's about based on the title? What would you say? Because I think George definitely has it up.
Guess Who's Coming to Brunch. I think it's gonna be I don't know what I think it's gonna be, and I know I'm wrong, is that because I've been wrong so far about all of these, is that it's going to be like a popular producer or musician who is gonna show up to a brunch where they are going to be, and they're excited and they're like preparing for it, but something ensues. Like they're going to get a chance to meet and expose themselves to someone important in the industry.
Okay. Wow. What about you came up with this game? Oh, I think it's a play on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with from Sneakers, Sydney Portier, as you said it last week.
I didn't say it like that.
So I guess it's somebody's meeting somebody's parents. That's what I would fathom, I guess.
Do you think they're gonna play it racially? Like, do you think
that's what the film definitely was? So
for sure. Do you think this episode is?
So Tony gets brought home to a girl's place
for brunch, though, instead of dinner.
Well, they're young kids and they have a curfew.
Yeah, that's what we will test. That's what we will find out if they're going to have if they're going to try to do some commentary, if they're going to bring race into it.
I mean, this show is daring and bold. I'll give it that.
It's true.
There's no cultural subject matter they won't touch.
There's a lot of special episodes, from the 90s as we know. So, do you think episode 7 is already gonna pull up a very special episode?
It depends if it's during sweeps week, and I only vaguely know the term when we're trying to get butts in the seats, basically. This episode should be a special episode. It should be about fat shaming.
Agreed.
Because Jenny's a fucking bully. That's what we find out.
Yeah.
This episode aired October 17th, 1992. We started Sharkeys. And speaking of fat, we finally see food. Remember the last episode? You're like, are we ever going to see any fucking food?
Oh, yeah.
We see it because it's a gag. But there's an entire subplot in this episode about how Tony, I don't know, he has bad memory or something.
He's a bad memory. He can't get the orders right. He's a bad waiter. He won't take notes because it's lame, and he doesn't want to be a lame in front of the lady.
Doesn't want to be a lame. Yeah. Yeah. So he comes up with 4 cheeseburgers, and nobody ordered cheeseburgers at his table with his friends. You would think of all the people that he would get their order right, it would probably be his friends. And
is he a bad waiter or a bad friend?
I mean, he just doesn't listen.
Yeah.
Whatever happened with Jasmine? Did they go on a date last time? Are they together? We'll never see her again. But he's still a waiter. That's the only constant here. He's the only one that works.
Well, it's been 1 week to 17 years since that last episode. So
we don't know. We don't know.
No,
it's interstellar. We're not really positive.
We're in dream time.
Jenny's kind of snarky right here. No surprise. She was like, I only ordered a water. And I thought, of course you did. Jenny would be the person that would order just a water and is going to be fine with that at a restaurant. Just taking up a seat, taking up a 4-top, just getting waters. Again,
do you think she's like, but just some fries? And then she like takes some fries.
No, she's going to take fries from other people. She's not going to.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So Tony is a bad waiter at this point, and I guess he's, I don't know, inferring that it's going to get taken out of his paycheck if he keeps fucking up these orders. We get a little bit of the employee roster here. It looks like Tortellini Tush, Sharky himself is in the back, and he's the one making all this food.
It's a small joint.
I guess so, but I don't know what his job is. I guess he just does everything and employs child labor. Is that right?
I think so. I think if you want to, if you want to make it a small business, family style restaurant in California, that's the way you got to do it.
That's low overhead right there, baby.
That's right. Children don't know what money is yet.
So Sly jumps up to Sharky and plays him a recorder on like this archaic looking tape recorder that it looks like you would have in a police interrogation room. Mm-hmm. And he starts playing it, If It Wasn't For You, as if it's a new song, though we heard it at on the double date episode. So
yeah, anywhere between 1 week and 17 years ago.
And Sharky would have heard that then, right? Because he was at the wedding, even though he was in the back eating.
He was in the back eating. I think he missed that. And also, yeah, you're right. They're trying to sell it.
But
like, hey, listen, we're good.
He played multiple shows at Sharkeys.
Yeah.
Has he been absent the entire time? No. I don't understand. Did they go to a recording studio? Why did they do an episode with a recording studio? How did they get this recording? I mean, I assume Sly just sat there and pressed play and record button at the same time. But he's trying to convince Sharky to let them have a residency, play every Friday night, because he said the burgers will sell like hotcakes, which is really redundant. Could just say the burgers will sell like burgers. Okay, hotcakes are pancakes, are they not?
Yeah, and burgers do sell really well. I think
this
people,
lunch item is going to sell like a breakfast item. You're not going to believe how fast it gets out the door.
Yeah, that's not great. Maybe that's why Sharky said no thanks.
Well, he said no thanks. Is he a cheapskate, right? They're really backpedaling. He's a total cheapskate, but he's having this child band play constantly. Before they got money, didn't he? Sly got like $150 or something for one of their shows, and now he won't budge past burger and fries and maybe onion rings.
Yeah, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, they got money. They took money. Because the show that they've done with the luau was, they took money from Sharky while he was supposedly going to be out of town, and then he came back early. So I don't think Sharky has ever paid them money. Like, they got paid for the birthday party, they got paid for the wedding,
the battle of the bands,
and the battle of the bands was it was a cash prize. So that was at Sharky's.
I thought there was $150 somewhere. We're gonna have to. Some of our sleuthy listeners, they can go back and tell us, because I don't think we're going to get Zach to rewatch any of these episodes.
Sorry, one and done, baby.
So Matt is sitting there talking about his friend Teddy that's coming back into town, and then Jenny just is like, "How's your fucking whale of a friend?" She calls him Shamu, which was a big joke in the 90s. You were 2 years old, Zach, but there was this famous whale from this movie called Free Willy.
I recall.
I remember I think George was there, actually. We were sitting at a diner when I was 20 at least. And I said, Shamu was the name, like the scientific name of a whale was Shamu. I did not know that it was the name of one particular whale. And we had to wait to go back home to like look on the internet to see that I was wrong. I lost $40 on that bet.
Wow. That's a lot of money. You made a $40 bet? When was this?
I was so sure. It was like 2002 or something.
Wow.
I should have known better.
You were young still at that point.
I was working at Blockbuster at that time. I definitely had access to
$40 at Blockbuster in 2002. That was like a week's worth of wages.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well done.
That's a lot of. So here we go. So apparently Teddy is coming back into town. They remember him as being fat. And of course, Matt would, still be cool with this kid. I mean, spoiler alert, Teddy comes off as like a real douchebag in this episode, and they kind of say it. They kind of say it at the end that you were a lot nicer when you were fat, but like he's just a fuck boy, basically, right?
Yeah, he got new body, new boy. That's
new body, new boy. Say. I have a question. So he comes in looking supposedly all hot and debonair and stuff. Does he have just 200 pounds of loose skin that he's tucking into his pants at this point?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if you watched My 1,000-Pound Life or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know what happens when people lose weight rapidly. So I don't know. He seems okay. He seems pretty confident either way.
It's almost like he wasn't fat at all, and he's an actor.
Confident. Whoa! You're saying the kid who played Fat Teddy was different?
Yeah. And I think now you couldn't do this episode for a lot of reasons today, mainly because you need a time machine. But you'd also you'd get in trouble for like miscasting and stuff, and you should have just had a plus size person play the role, and then CGI them being thin.
Right.
So he said he doesn't go by Teddy anymore. He's just Ted now. Does that mean like at his heaviest he was Theodore?
I don't.
Are you not ready for these questions, Zach?
I'm sorry. No.
All right, this is an easy one.
I was not prepared.
This is an easier one. Is Ted cute? Okay, we're both queer boys. Is Ted cute?
Is Ted cute? I think. I don't know. He looks so far like everybody else on the every other white guy on the show. Yeah. So like I can't tell the difference. I don't know.
You're being too nice. I think he looks so basic.
He's not my type. That's what I mean.
He doesn't move the needle.
Else. Yeah.
But I guess back then, to a teenage girl like Ted Theodore Esquire would be cute, I guess. But the fact that like best friends Jenny and Tiffany would just like devour each other for him doesn't make any sense. We've never seen Tiff this boy crazy before. I could see Jenny doing it because she's a fat shamer, So, and even Tiffany says like you shouldn't make fun of him like that. So,
yeah, I think Tiffany might not have had the same reaction, but I think Tiffany probably. Well, there's nothing about his personality that's particular. I was gonna say is like Tiffany might have had a crush on him regardless.
Yeah, she looks inside like a psychopath.
I don't think Tiffany has like an external type necessarily.
I think so.
But Jenny for sure does. She dates from the outside in.
She wants an Italian man that may or may not have been in Cool World. So
that's her type and mine.
We're gonna go to Matt's bedroom now. Speaking of sexy and sensual, Teddy's up there. They do some kind of rhyme that I totally wrote down that I wanted to remember and write down, and I didn't. I wanted to be our battle cry. Something about only cute chicks. But very confident for this like portly child to be like, I got standards,
Yeah, remember what this was? Exactly. Yeah, and then they air guitared.
I did.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, okay, so he's kind of douche back then too.
Yeah, like, okay. I guess that does. Nothing changes. He's just the ability to snare some tail, as he would probably say now.
Yeah, his words probably. No,
definitely not mine.
No, sir.
I did notice something in this scene. The REM poster that was gone in the last episode is back.
Ooh.
So Michael Stipe's people called and they were like, excuse me, we need to be represented here.
That's very, very astute.
So Jenny walks in, and did this seem odd to you that? So they both said at Sharkeys, Jenny and Tiffany said at Sharkeys, they're not going to ask this guy out because they both find him cute. They're like, our friendship means too much, but they both find a loophole that he asked them out. Do you find it odd that this guy asked out Matt's sister right in front of Matt? Like, and Matt's just kind of standing there like he's pimping her out?
Yeah, I didn't have that type of... Yeah, nobody who asked my sister out, the one I was in a band with, would have done it in front of me. There were people who asked her out through me, who were like, hey, man, would it be cool if... kind of thing. And then I was like, depending, some I was like, yeah, I mean, talk to her. That's her decision ultimately. And then if I was like, but I had a pretty good idea about what her type was too. So it'd be like, yeah, I mean, feel free, but like, good luck. You don't have, I think she's going to say no.
So wait, if you said yes, was it then your job to make the transaction happen? But you were like, go for it, Godspeed, don't get me involved kind of thing?
It was more the latter. Yeah.
Okay. I definitely had friends ask me if it was cool to date my sister.
Yeah.
And my sister, we're close in age, and we hung out with the same people. So this was inevitable. And she was definitely like the good looking one of the family. So some I approved of, and some I definitely did not. It's tough. It's tough as an older brother, because like you want to be protective, but on the other hand, you want them to, live their life. But I would not have. I didn't want them to do it right in front of me. I had a drummer ask my sister out. A drummer in my band asked my sister out, and it was after a rehearsal one time, and he sat my brother and I down. He's like, "Look, I got to talk to you," and we're like, "Don't do this. Like, I don't want to have this interaction. Please, like, make it stop." So, and this is like, we were in college at this point, so I was like, "Look, man, she's her own person. She can decide, but don't let this affect the band," And that's definitely mirroring what Zach has, or your Zach, what Matt has had to put up with in this episode. So, well, it's funny because you do remind me of Matt. You're a sweetheart, and you're in a band with your sister, So, and you both look great without sleeves on, which that definitely happens in this episode.
Okay. Now you're coming around, or was that being facetious? Because you've been dogging on Matt's arms.
I'm still gonna dog on Matt's arm. I gotta dig my heels in, sir. I'm going elbows deep here. George brought up a good point. Was the piano gone? I think the piano was gone in this scene from the room. I definitely would have noticed it. Anything? It was replaced with a desk.
Oof.
What the hell? Right. You can't just move this piano around willy-nilly.
I think maybe he took it to Sharkeys to practice there.
Sure.
Like he did in the last episode.
Well, after Jenny leaves, Tiffany comes in, and she's got a newspaper, and she wants to go see a movie. And I thought we were going to get another cool movie thing that we could find out what movie they were seeing, but instead he says the name of a film. Did you catch the name of this?
I can't remember.
Okay,
it didn't sound real.
It sounded like he's a fucking mush mouth, this guy. I think he said portion of a rocker, portrait of a rocker, or fortunate rocker. The YouTube subtitles were of no help. That said portion of a rocker, but that doesn't sound right. I think it's portrait. What do you?
Portrait of a rocker.
That sounds like a dumb made up movie about a rock star or something, right?
Yeah.
Because they keep saying fucking rocker in this show. It's so annoying. But I guess, Tiffany wants to go see that. And so they make a date for Saturday, or no, they make a date for the next day. And then his and Jenny's date is for Saturday.
Yes. So just keeping our days straight.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So far,
we don't know what day it is. We do not know what day it is. We don't know if they're in school or not either. So
we know that tomorrow is a date with Tiffany and Saturday is a date with Jenny.
And Friday is the potential Sharkeys date for the
band. It's got to be the Friday after that because they already go on. Both of these dates happen.
Fucking hell, you're right.
Yeah, so it's from Saturday to Friday. Spoiler, Jenny and Tiffany are mad at each other.
For a whole week.
That
must have been real awkward in class that we didn't get to witness.
Yeah, that's a long time for people who see each other every day at Sharkeys and the garage.
But again, Matt is there for this transaction to go down with Ted and Tiffany at this point. He's like a notary. He's like a witness that just has to be there for when this guy makes dates. But he immediately is like, that's not cool. You can't do that. They're best friends. What are you doing? You can't ask them
both out. Come on. You got to tell them. And then he's like, yeah, well, I will, but ain't this cool? I've been here 2 days and I got 2 dates. And then he does the air guitar thing again.
But he does say he's only in town for 2 days. He says he's only in town for 2 days. So like this timeline doesn't make sense either.
I think he's only been in town for 2 days. I thought that at first too, that he was just visiting. But Jenny or Tiffany asks, it might have been Jenny when she first comes in, asked him if he's moved in yet, if he's all moved in yet. I think he's moved in like back to town or to town.
Oh,
and it's closer, and so they're like reuniting as friends now.
We're definitely not going to see this motherfucker again.
We're not, but it was, the dates seemed like more than a one-off because he later has to choose. So like I think he's sticking around in this town. He's only been here. He's been back for 2 days.
Okay.
And into those 2 days, he's already got 2 dates lined up. It's very confusing, but I think that's what's going on.
So you're saying bare minimum, this episode takes place over 10 days. So Thursday would be the date with Tiffany. Friday would be whatever.
Friday could have been the date with Tiffany. It could be Thursday that he asked them both out.
So bare min's 8 days.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now that's settled. Matt.
Cool.
No sleeves, but tons of morals. So we go to the garage. Speaking of Matt, he's playing bass with Tiffany's bass, and again, there's this dumb Tony subplot that is really of no consequence, except for like one line delivered at the end that I thought was pretty good. Tony has some rules, basically, don't write anything down, never listen to New Kids on the Block, which I thought was interesting because like this was definitely the time of New Kids on the Block, but I think like California Dreams, I had aged out of this band. I never really liked New Kids on the Block. I think I was at the point where I knew that cool older kids did not like them. So I stuck strictly to that gang. As a 2-year-old, were you were a Joey fan or were you like a Donnie head?
As a 2-year-old, I think is more of Joey
McIntyre. Okay.
Yeah, I was just
he was the good boy in the band, right?
Yeah, I mean things changed when I turned 3. He was the twink.
He was definitely the twink in that.
But yeah, that was my type in those days.
Speaking of, I still had on the subtitles for this episode, and Sly is a catchphrase throughout the show. I think this is one of the first times we hear it. He says "ba ba boom." I guess because he's Italian. So
ba ba boom.
Or ba-boom, because he says that constantly, and it goes throughout the whole series. He said it when I saw their reunion show into the mic very loud, and it was really awkward. But The subtitles said Bob Boone. He just came in.
Bob Boone.
It's Pat Boone's young child at that time. Anyway, so Sly says that he got them the residency, but it's for burgers and fries, and there's no fucking payment. But I couldn't believe how stoked they were to play this gig, and they're like, you know what, money is of no, it doesn't matter. This is a great opportunity for us. It's like they've never played Sharkeys before. I do not understand the sentiment.
Episode feels like the first episode.
It is
like it's the first time they've done a thing ever. That's the energy they bring to it. Because in general, like if this was not the first time, if they had not been paid decently for gigs at Sharkeys, like, yeah, in high school, if I would have gotten free meals at my favorite restaurant, I would have played for sure. I mean, I didn't like. We played mostly for free in high school. I don't.
Fuck, we played mostly for free now.
We play mostly for free forever. This is not a real job. They were right the whole time.
This show, like I won't spoil the last episode. I remember watching and being like, "Damn, that's too real." So. I don't know. Maybe there was one writer on this show that was like a failed musician, and I don't mean that in any kind of slander, or any kind of shade. No slagging on that guy, but he definitely wanted to put in some realism here. I'm very surprised it wasn't just like, hey, 500 for this show and 1,000 for this show. Like this is realistic.
Yeah,
but I don't understand
they were
why.
Like, hey, I'll pay you in food. Like that's.
But the fact they're so excited and they think this is going to, I mean, a residency is awesome. I don't know if you ever had one, but like, it's a fun gig to have. Not every show is great, but it's just so nice to have a home base and to have an establishment that like believes in you. And, you know, even if they're just using you for ancillary music, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a band. Cause it's like, oh my God, this makes it legitimate. This gives your whole life's work and pursuit some validity to it. Anyway, if jumping back to the menage a trois in this episode, the threesome here, I think push comes to shove, Tiff is going to bow out of this hunt for Ted. I don't think Ted is her type. But I think Jenny would be the selfish one to say, like, I'm going to go for him. And Tiff would be like, well, okay, I'm not really comfortable with it. And Tiff would be like, yeah, thanks, bye. I don't know how you feel.
I think in general, yeah. I think I was actually surprised how much Tiffany fought back on this one, which is not bad to see. But, you know, we do see her as kind of a pushover or someone who just kind of acquiesces to her friends the whole time. And this is an instant where it's like, no, she's like going toe to toe with Jenny this whole time until they both, you know, both are pretty much on the same page, like whether they're fighting or agreeing not to fight. They're pretty much on the same page. Yeah, I think Jenny would like hypothetically stick out this relationship a lot longer because he's hot. Tiffany, I think, would get kind of bored of him, and also he's kind of douchey, so that would become a problem.
Maybe Tiffany's turning a leaf. Last episode, she like got real, you know, kind of yelled at Matt, but in her own Tiffany way. So, and now she's standing up for the man that she wants. So, you know, good for her, showing her range as a person, and Kelly Packard as an actress. So,
that's true.
Speaking of Tiff, we jump to their date where they're seeing Portrait of a Rocker. Portrait
of a Rocker.
And I don't know, the theater manager comes in and asks her if she's Tiffany Smith. So we have a last name. So
that's true. Is that the first time we've heard it?
Yeah, and I think that's the last of the main characters. I think it's the first time we heard it. So it's just Tony Wicks, Matt, and Jenny Garrison, and now Tiffany Smith. So, and Sly Winkle, of course. So I guess that's a thing. You had a phone call they had to take in the lobby because this is 1992. Anyway, and Jenny has made this is all a ruse because she wants to sidle up and get this guy to not like Tiff or to be scared of her dad. She tells some really inane story that he's into kung fu or, it doesn't matter. I'm getting bored just talking about it. Let's get to the that you remember. Good.
I might have had some help.
Anyway, next scene, we go to the restaurant. It's the same thing. We're just going to barrel through this. Same restaurant as Matt's date. That we saw two days in a row when he was dating the nerd. Well, Angela, right? There we go.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. George remembered just the Kung Pao Ow part, but also that her last date, her dad broke his arm in 3 places, and he's like, 3 places? He's like, yeah, the family room, the kitchen, and the driveway.
That's a genuine chuckle out of you for that joke thing.
Look, this episode doesn't actually have that many jokes in it. This show doesn't have that many jokes in it. They will put in canned laughter, but like they're not real jokes. Like nobody wrote jokes. They just put like, hey, and then Jenny says something mean and people laugh at that.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
When it does happen, it's fun for me. And that is a real joke. They broke his arm in 3 places and it's the classic misdirection. Yeah. They did try to make fat jokes. Yeah. Yeah, I guess basically they bully each other. It's like they shame each other and bully each other, and those are the jokes. Or, I mean, this is a joke about somebody getting hurt, which is another, but it's at the expense of someone always. But it's true. It's true to a joke form. It's misdirection. It works. I love this fucking joke. And it was worth going back for. We can go back to the
we dissected that. Okay, just took a little ride around the block. I'm writing down all the stuff that I genuinely find funny because it's definitely a rarity. But I got to give credit where credit's due. So yes, we're back at the restaurant. It doesn't really matter. Sly's, of course, there, and he's laying it on thick with Jennifer now, which I thought is silly. But that's a little bit of continuity that I didn't think we were going to get. He is into Jenny because of the last episode, and I really hope they get rid of this. I mean, they will whenever Jen leaves the show, but up until then, I think we're stuck with it.
In there.
Yeah, as far as the fat jokes, Blubber Butt and Blimpo the Wonder Boy. What? I'm surprised this kid didn't kill himself before. That's insanity that like Jenny is just like mocking this child. That
and then
sticks
he's
with
like
people.
Yeah, Matt sticks around and that he's like stoked to like, man, I can't believe I'm with Jen. I guess I don't know. Why is he doing it? Have you ever wanted to go, like, had a crush on someone who was your bully and then like really like just fawned over them?
Are you trying to say he wants to hate fuck Jenny? Or are you saying,
I don't know, like, maybe
or are you saying this is like a Stockholm syndrome, that he really wants to please her, that she nagged him for years?
Maybe
and and it's really because she wanted him and it's working.
Yeah.
I don't think so. This guy is so vapid and dumb. Like it would be an interesting plot point to have him be really smart, and they never knew because they just saw him as like the fat kid. there's really no redeeming arc for this character at all. He's only there as a catalyst to drive a wedge between Jenny and Tiffany and California Dreams as a band.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go back to the garage. Speaking of the band. Speaking of the band.
Yeah. Let's get to band practice.
So I think we touched on this before, but I think Matt says, like, tomorrow's the day Sharky finally sees how good we are. And this is, again, driving the point home that, like, Sharky has never seen one of their performances before. Maybe he's there all the time. He's the fucking cook. He's got to be there. He would have heard. He would have popped his fucking tortellini touch out of that kitchen. Watch them play their one song set. Okay.
And this gig is tomorrow. So it's Thursday.
It's somewhere in the 8-day period.
Yeah.
So that just means for 5 days there was nothing. All right. Anyway, we jump back very briefly to Tony's subplot about, I guess he's told that eating fish will help his memory. I don't know if there's any clue to that. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on television, so I don't know. And there's another spit take. I wanted to ask you, Zach, did you like this spit take as much as the last one? Because you were fawning over the last one.
Yeah. No.
Was it the consistency? You don't like, you're a pescatarian.
Yeah, the consistency was bad. Also, it wasn't the spit that made the last one.
You're right. It was the handing the towel.
It was the hand me the towel. It was the like the 3 beat. The 3 beats. It was choreographed. The last one was choreographed. This one was just like spit. There it is. There it is. There's the punchline. Yeah.
I mean, he would have spit it out anyway. He would have tasted it, but
I think he would have smelled it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can.
And why does it be in milkshake form? It's only in milkshake form, so they can do a spit take. That's it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, there's another joke for you.
We are at an awkward band rehearsal now. I don't know if you've ever had to deal with this, where 2 people are just fighting like crazy, and you have to have a rehearsal. And I've fucking had this way too many times.
I love those.
But basically, Tiffany's like, Jenny's bringing negative energy. Now, she's also a part of it, but it's true. Jenny does have a lot of negative energy to the band. She says later in this episode that she like cares about what happens to the dreams, but I don't get that at all. I don't think she gives a shit about the band. She does play a sick fucking keyboard solo later that we're going to talk about. Though,
I love to see that.
So speaking of good lines, there for no reason Jenny's like mocks Sly, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sitting here." That was funny. I don't know.
You like that?
I like that one.
Like she's been mocking him to his face the whole season, and then she does it one more time. He's like, "Hey."
I mean, at least but he wasn't even involved in this. Like, it was finally like the one time he wasn't going to get shit on for anything. And she went on a date with him. You know, there must be some redeeming quality. I don't know. That was the whole plot of
last episode. Well, there was when he was lying.
Anyway, Jeff and Tiff quit. They fucking quit the band right then and there. Have you ever had 2 people quit at once, Zach? I've definitely had one. Maybe in succession too, but at the exact same time?
Nearly, yeah. I fired 2 people at once, so I've done that. Wow. Yeah, that was rough. But the
we'll be talking about that on the after show if you're on Patreon.
Not at the same time in person. It was like in succession the same day. It was like
okay,
yeah. It was like Godfather when Michael's taking out the houses. It was just like
yes, The Godfather 3, my favorite film.
It's your favorite? No, the second one.
I know. It's a joke. So we're gonna jump to the kitchen. Yeah. We're gonna jump to the kitchen. I thought something like, now they're in a pinch. They got this fucking residency and they don't have a keyboard player and a bass player.
This is rough.
They could make do without the keyboard, maybe even the bass. You get a keyboard player, fine. Why doesn't Sly fucking fill in? Like, bass is super easy. I can say that. Bass is easy. At no point in the show is he ever like, I'll jump in on drums. I'll jump in on bass. I'll make it happen.
I think we should have gotten Dennis on board.
This was...
There's an episode, I think it's the last episode, because I did look ahead on what these were called. And
yes,
there's an episode called Where is Dennis?
Where's Dennis? Where's Dennis? Where is he?
I'm that'll be fun when we guess what that episode's about. The Rapture. But yeah.
That's your prediction. The episode's about the Rapture. That's the fun game you wanted to play. Where's Dennis?
Yeah. That's why I brought this game up.
He killed himself because somebody called him fat too many times. So, speaking of bass and suicide, I looked up what Tiffany's bass was, and I found it. I did some sleuthing.
Good job.
This is an Ibanez Cherry Red Roadster, the RB 650 bass, and it goes for about $850 now. It has very specific headstock. That's how I was able to find it. But speaking of headstock, it's the same bass as last episode. It's the one with the fucking spaghetti strings. Still hasn't fixed it.
I mean, you don't have to change bass strings very often. So.
Yeah, but it just seems like something could have gotten looked after.
Yeah, sorry. You know, some people with the sloppy strings, that's
their whole thing.
That's the thing. I was a sloppy string guy for a while.
You said that last week, and I kind of blocked it out because it doesn't match your personality at all. I thought
we played a lot of shows together where actually most of the shows we've played together, I've probably had sloppy strings.
I don't know. I don't know what to think of you, man.
Isn't that wild?
The string winding and my pedal board are the two of the only organized things in my life. Like, I have a very specific pedal board regimen, and the way I wind my strings doesn't change. Everything else in my life, big blimpo the blubber butt mess. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so Matt has to beg Tiff and Jenny to rejoin the band. And then right then and there, when they decide that it's important to rejoin the band, fucking Ted walks in with his stupid white Docker shorts.
Ugh, Ted, you've ruined everything.
Like such a tool. There's no way anybody would be attracted to this guy. He's pitted two girls against each other. I don't even know how great their date went because he bailed. He probably bailed on Tiffany after he found out her dad was, I don't know.
He left before the movie. He's like, I gotta get you home. Ooh.
And then Jenny's date got ruined too. So why would they want to pursue this?
What does he want to pursue it? Why do they want to pursue it?
Do they just want dick? And that's totally okay. I think that's great. But
I mean, so far they don't go. We don't know about their school situation. So like the only people we know of are the people who we've seen. And it's like,
you know what's hilarious?
So he's just a new person. Being homeschooled.
No, that's okay. That's what I was going to say. You know what's hilarious? Yeah. When I talked to you about joining the show, I was so excited that you were homeschooled because it added a new element to the show. But they kind of seem like they're homeschooled now. We have not seen one school. What if that's the big cosmic butt fuck here? Is that they're actually all homeschooled kids, and that's why they have so much extra time. That's why they're so socially awkward.
That's why they're working day jobs during the week because you do your school when you can. Like I got a job as soon as I could drive, and then I worked school around that.
That's why you're the perfect person for this podcast, Zach. And
so
this is your life's purpose. I just wish you fucking admit it.
It's all been leading to this. So this idea of like falling for the new person who's vaguely attractive,
yes,
that is relatable because it's not a big, even in our homeschool community in Wilson County, there was not a lot of them. So as soon as somebody new came, or like, oh shit, somebody's cousin's in town, and like they're gonna go to this skate event that we're putting together. It was very exciting, and then like everybody was like, "The cousin's here. Let's all try to get the cousin's attention. Like, be the cool person that the cousin." Yeah. So that's probably what you know. What that's canon. They're homeschooled until I know otherwise. This cast is homeschooled. They act like homeschoolers. They're dorky like homeschoolers.
That happens in secular schools too. When somebody new comes to town, it's like they're the coolest person, and then you realize that they're just like really boring or basic or something, and you're like, fuck. Now I gotta look at all these pores around me. So
you're saying homeschool is just like secular school. I like how you distinguished it as secular school versus Christian.
I always fuck up secular and non-secular. So
it just I don't religious. Know, religious versus non. I mean, homeschool is tends to be the religious of the school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's non-secular, right?
Non-secular is non-religious, or it's not secular.
No, it's the other way around. That's I always fuck it up. Always fuck it up.
Non-secular is religious. Yes.
So we're gonna jump back to Sharkeys, our tabernacle sanctuary, if you will. The California Dreams poster is up, which is great. I want that for this room whenever I get it set up.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's actually just promo for the show that they put in, but Matt is taking it down and he's putting up an old poster. How many did you have a poster of your own band growing up? That's fucking great. I want that.
No. Well, we had logos and stuff that we like drew and then printed and copied.
That's not a poster.
That's not a poster. No, we had the logos.
Poster, you had to get at least 10,000 units or they weren't going to sell it to you. So, but I guess he's putting up this old poster of them, and this is in a ruse to get Jenny and Tiff to understand the true meaning of Christmas, which is friendship. Right. And in the poster, Jenny looks like the fucking girl in the well from The Ring. She's just like got long hair and like a white outfit.
That's when you had long cursed hair.
And they bring up Doug Breskin, I guess, that Jenny assaults. And like a feel good story. So not only is Jenny a cyber bully, a real life bully, but she's also a violent bully.
She's a triple threat.
But they first jump over to the scene because they're like, "Give me back that cord. That's my cord." Do you just bring one cord in the band and just let people do musical chairs for it, Zach? Or do you share chords? I mean, it's probably happened before, but
sure, yeah. Sometimes you're like, man, my chord. Can you spot me a chord?
Square.
But yeah, no. This is fighting for the sake of fighting.
Sure, yeah.
That they're.
I mean, I was worried we were going to get. Maybe worried is not the right. I was excited we were going to get a performance where they're like really upset with each other and they kind of like sabotage the performance. I think we'll get that at some point in this show, but today's not that day.
Nope, it played just fine. It kind of worked. They saw this. Yeah, they saw it and they reminisced about old times and they're like, "You're right. We shouldn't be mad. Let's play a regular."
Yeah. Let's play regular.
Also, they have equipment now. They didn't have any amps previously when they played.
That's true.
And they do this time.
Zach is our residential amp expert. And it's literally just the garage setup that I saw. It's a little dinky amp. None of them are turned on. Again, prop department.
Come on.
Turn them on. There's no continuity issues there. Lights? I did find it funny that we're going to wrap up Tony's dumb subplot here. He goes over to a table and he fucking nails all the orders. And I laughed for a second time in the episode where this hippie guy is like, "Do you eat a lot of fish?"
Like it's common knowledge.
It's so stupid that they set up this common knowledge thing and then they execute it. They did this entire subplot for that one joke. And I was like, what a long walk. But the double gag here is that Tony's not even scheduled to work. Of course he wouldn't be scheduled to work. He's got to play a show. But Tony works every fucking day because he's homeschooled and he needs to support his family.
That's right.
Sly introduces the band and it says Righteous Babes and Dudes. I love that. That should have been the name of this fucking podcast. Fuck, dude.
That was so much cooler. This is a better way to address the crowd.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like, it's like dudes and groupies is what he's said before. And that
Can you promise me? We don't have a show scheduled until. Well, I guess we are in New Year now. We don't have another show scheduled for like a month, but I promise I will say that at the show. If you promise that your next show you will also address the crowd at some point as righteous babes and dudes. Yeah,
righteous babes and dudes. I think that seems pretty nice. Yeah.
All right. This is being recorded. George is the witness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just remind me.
Okay.
Okay. George is reminding us that Tony joined the football team, and there's a principal in episode 4.
Stop it. This is canon. They're homeschooled. We'll keep that until we're proven differently. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I don't think there's no evidence that Tony goes to school, only that his dad teaches at a high school football team. And hey, he could get his son in there.
For your homeschool, did you have sports? You had to have had like some kind of meetup for physical activities, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying you had to. I don't know.
We had to. Yeah, we like went to skate parks and played paintball. And
wasn't the physical fitness award? Didn't I definitely remember having field day, and then they invited homeschooled kids to be a part of our field day or something, and we're like, who the fuck are these kids? And they like, sorry, but you guys were weird, and they basically all hung out with each other. But that was like one of the only instances of like homeschooled kids that I had any interaction with, outside of a friend of mine who was named Fucko, and he was homeschooled. So just goes to show you.
Wow, did you give him this name?
That's a good question. I think it was a collective
whose name was Fucko. And he's like, I got a real name. It's Theodore.
No, he was a twin. Like he was an identical twin. So he definitely did not want to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's great. So that was your only experience with homeschooling.
I mean, in the wild, as a group. Yes.
Yeah. In homeschoolers currently being homeschooled, you've met them who aren't. I'm not homeschooled anymore. I'm done with it.
You're not still in school, Zach?
I'm not in school anymore.
You graduated?
I know I have this youthful demeanor and this hip backwards cap, and I know I dress like
you do really look like a casting department's like, fuck. They hired a 30-year-old to play a 16-year-old. Like, give him some shaggy hair, put a backwards cap on him, and make sure he's like he avoids eye contact. That's how you make someone look young.
Exactly. Am I avoiding? Well, I can't tell where the camera is. Is it here or is it there?
So you're killing it.
Thank you.
You're one righteous babe and/or dude.
Yeah. So I can be both. I can take multitudes.
The band California Dreams or the Dreams, they jump into their song, which we saw a snippet of last time, called "If It Wasn't for You." We saw it they were playing it at the luau and the wedding. And so this is not the full song. There's the structure of the song. If you're interested, if anybody's interested, it's a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, fade out. But in the episode, it's like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then like a cool ending
and no fade out. So the full, I like the ending. So the full length.
I like the ending, but
I like the sharp ending.
They did two different endings, so you can hear the full song, and we got it on CD, which we're gonna be throwing out at our concerts for Surf Dudes with Attitude.
Big time.
On Patreon, we're gonna be doing a listen through, so you're gonna get our real time reactions to these songs on CD. That'll be fun if you want to go over there and help support the show. But I learned the song on guitar.
I did too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the insane amount of chords in this song.
Oh, it's so many.
It actually is an A sharp, because we found out one of the last episodes they were tuned a half step down, but this they are actually playing in A sharp.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much the only note that Tiffany hits, but normally she's wrong. But in this case, because they go to A sharp and then they go to D sharp, and that is it. That is they hit F at one point.
Mm-hmm.
There's one tiny walk up, but the bridge is just mirrored. It's just D sharp to A sharp. This is the quintessential 3-chord song. So
there's
I was
a
thinking,
C in there.
You're right.
There's a C,
it does
C to F in the goes up at the end of the chorus.
C to F. Wow. Yeah, that's just basically A sharp to D sharp, but moved up a whole step.
That's right.
I was thinking, because the last episode, was this the song that Matt was working on when he was like, damn, fucking A to F to G? You know what? Too many chords. Let's just move this baby up half step and let's not get too busy. I mean, you got gold, like why fuck with it, right?
That's right. It's Midas touch, baby.
But yeah,
I enjoyed it. You know what? And so it had a very like Huey Lewis in the News feel to me, like if this is it, sort of. Do you believe in love? Sort of like it. I think also we've talked about how like I need a term for it, but it's songs that can exist in the real world, not just in TV world.
Yes.
And this feels like definitely could exist in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like this song,
cheesy pop song. Yeah.
This song could be like a credit song that made it on a soundtrack to an 80s film, and it's like it's just playing in the credits. It didn't like really stand the test of time, but it's like, oh yeah, that's the song at the end of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is among I'm not saying this is among my favorites, but I am saying it's among my favorites, and it is
you are saying it.
It's among their best.
Yeah, well, apparently George has just dropped to us that this took 4 people to write this song. So I think each one of them got their own chord, and that's it. So that's a lot. But that's speaking perfect. Of the song, we get the first keyboard solo that Jenny's ever done. And she goes hog fucking wild on that pitch bend.
I love this solo.
And it sucks because like in the show, it's right when Ted walks in. So she's not like emoting the way that you would when you're like, so like they're pitch bending these fucking notes like crazy, like fucking electric light orchestra up there. And then, but she's just like, oh no, Teddy came in. Like, I don't know if she's mad at him. I don't know what's happening.
Her and Tiffany are just sort of exchanging looks like, oh boy, this is the big day. He's going to come decide which one of us he's going to date.
Yeah. I guess
right in the middle of her solo.
Her solo was awesome. And I cause like we haven't seen her do any, I kind of wish we would have seen her get into it the way Matt gets into his dinky guitar solos that he does. So
yeah.
Anyway, Tiffany is, she's just pedaling between the first and the second fret on the A string. So half of it's right. She's hitting that A sharp every once in a while. I know that Kelly Packard can play. I really wish she would, do some walkies or something. I'm upset that it's only Matt that's actually showing some prowess here. Although Tony, when he's playing drums, you could tell he like memorized it. When he's playing drums, it's very obviously electronic drums that are playing. As soon as he starts, it's like very processed and mixed. But he's trying. I'll give him that much.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing it. He's playing pretty accurately most of the time.
So because of the strength of this one song set, because that's all, like it's not a passage of time. They play one song and then they're done. Yeah. Sly gets them the residency, but he was like, all right, you did this first show for free. That's great. Now let's talk turkey and get some money. And Sharky's like, nah, forget it. I'll throw in onion rings. And that's kind of where it's left.
Are they going to do it? Or are they not going to do it?
I'm going to say with what I remember this show, they're definitely going to play there many times. So
just for this residency, or is it going to be, I guess we'll find out. We'll find out if it's, yes, they got to honor this residency. And it's like, oh, we can't do that because we're doing this Sharkeys residency. Hey, don't worry, man. Sharky's going to be out of town this week. We'll get our friends to play it instead while we go play the bat mitzvah.
Yeah, we're going to get Root Canal to come in and play.
Yeah.
So just to put a cap on the Devil's Triad here, this guy, he's like... he has 2 tickets to Sting. And does he even make a decision that who he's going to pick?
No, he's about to. And then Jenny's like, wait. We can't let him decide or it'll tear our friendship. Like, we might never get over this. Yeah. So let's not have him pick.
Do you think Sting was actually touring at this time?
I bet we know somebody who can find out.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Sting live or the Police?
I've not.
Do the Police still? No. I've seen his tantric sex workshop. That's different though.
Well, sure. couple of educated, distinguished fellows.
And I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah, the last line of this fucking episode, which I think we're gonna name this title.
Well, and after they steal they just take the 2 tickets themselves.
Yeah,
Jenny and Tiffany.
He lets it happen. But he deserves it. He's a jerk. And then Matt goes out on a high note. It's like, you know what, Teddy, you were much nicer when you were fat. But he puts his arm around him. He's like, it's cool. You're about to try to ball my sister.
Yeah, you were nicer when you were fat. I'll go buy you a milkshake. So, which feels like, because he's been very like food conscious. Ted has, like, we've heard him be like, I like to eat Italian as long as it's not too fattening. Like, he's made mention of like,
oh, interesting. Yeah,
like he's got a diet thing. So then for Matt to come in and be like, hey, you're nicer when you're fat. Let me fatten you back up. Like, that's how that's how this end sort of read.
Basically, like, the guy's on the wagon, doesn't want to drink any alcohol, and Matt's like, come on, man, I'm gonna buy you a double scotch on the rocks because
I like you more when you're drunk.
Yeah, Matt's not being a great friend right now.
Yeah,
but man, he can play those chords though. He could play that A sharp to save his fucking life. Good for him. Yeah. So that is that episode. Ends on another freeze frame, which I think we're just gonna have to get used to. Yeah, we got a full song, at least like California Dreams full song, and we're gonna see what that Guess Who's Coming to Brunch episode is gonna entail next week.
Yeah,
and we are almost halfway through this season. It's really great.
Halfway through this episode was halfway through the season. Only 13 for this show.
Well, that'd be next?
I think that'd be next. This is not a math podcast, but I think it would be halfway through 7.
Yeah, not to correct it again, but I counted earlier today because I was real excited, thinking we were halfway through. Realize
you can't show fatigue this early. Like, it's gonna get worse before it gets better, my friends.
I know. What about? I think I'm looking forward to some new faces. I'm curious about.
You're in luck, sir. It's you're gonna get 2 within pretty much the first start of season 2, and then by the end of season 3, you're gonna get another 2. So, and I think you're gonna like them. I think you're gonna definitely relate to them a little more than what's been going on now.
Okay. Are you going to relate me to them as much? You said I'm such a man.
You are.
Well, what he meant by that is we're planning to kick you off of the show.
Oh, that's what's happening. Season, so. I'm getting. You remind me of Matt. You're only around for so long.
You were nicer when you were fat, Zach. Now you're just.
I've never been fat.
Oh,
exactly.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Well, good job, California Dreams. Good job, surf dudes.
Yeah, George. You want to play us out, George?
Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. For those of you who are Patreon members, please stick around for the extended show or the encore. Everyone else, thank you. To become a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/surfdudeswithattitude and get access to our extended shows and bonus content. Anything? Also, check out You Bred Raptors and Fable Cry, Pete's band and Zach's band.
I guess we haven't talked about our band at all. We're just experts at music, but we're not going to tell you anything about how.
So don't fact check it.
So if anyone's unaware, I know that we briefly touched on it before, but Pete and Zach are both excellent musicians. Both of these bands have solid albums, so highly recommend that. It definitely gives them the credibility that they deserve for talking about this tiny show with tiny
show. This show reached like 170 countries. I'll have you know. I saw
Big
that.
Heart.
In the 25 years of reruns. They reached so many because of its affordability.
Yeah, well, okay. You're not wrong. But
because they played
anyway,
for food.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you next week here on Surf Dudes with Attitude.
All right. So in this episode, we were faced with the dilemma of Shamu coming back and where Pete disappeared. First off, I don't even know if the fat jokes were funny by 90s standards. They were so unoriginal, like Shamu and what was the other one?
What other fat jokes were there?
Yeah, it wasn't anything clever like Chunky.
No, it's rarely ever clever. It was such low-hanging fruit. But yeah, they just basically called them alliterative names.
Yeah.
Blubberbutt, Blimpo, that kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Blimpo the Wonder Boy. Is that referencing something?
I don't know, but nothing as clever as how my dad was called the Donut Man going to his donut mobile to go get donuts. But I don't have.
Wait a minute. Did your dad's car did it resemble a donut car?
I mean, it was beige. Isn't that like the color of a donut? But no,
real fucking boring donut. Maybe
all the mean kids that was the low hanging fruit. That if you're fat, you have access to donuts.
So they just called it the Donut Mobile, the car that he drove?
That sounds like a lot of effort put into an insult.
Fourth graders.
Yeah. I don't know that fat jokes are ever I mean, none of these are funny.
Right.
And none of these are even really structured as jokes. They're just mean things to say.
Yeah. I mean,
nicknames aren't necessarily,
Having been a former fat person, I'll laugh at a good fat joke. I mean, it's like anything else. If the joke is constructed well and it's funny, then you're gonna laugh. But
listen, that shit stays with you forever. I went to a birthday party when I was in 6th grade, and it was a pool party, and there was all the cool kids were there, and I was like, "This sucks." Oh, and I didn't want to go. I so didn't want to go and take my shirt off in front of kids because I was like,
"You just went with your shirt on."
No, I couldn't. I could maybe get away with that in the ocean where you're around people you don't know, but these were my classes. These are my classmates. I
totally
my alums. And I jumped, and I remember taking my shirt off, and I meant immediately. I think I was starting to have fun, and then I jumped off the diving board, and then I remember coming back up, and some girl's like, "Pete, you are so fat."
Whoa!
Was there any water left in the pool?
I was like, "How dare you!" And I got out, and I was like, "That didn't bother me. I'm going to process that on my own time." And I walked inside, and it was dark because everyone was out in the pool thing, and one of their dads was there and asked me if I was okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally cool." And then I just sat by the stereo, and I remember putting on Vaseline by Stone Temple Pilots and being. just sitting with my thoughts and self-hatred. And that's why I think of every time I hear that song. So
I totally used
that girl.
my shirt on thinking I was fooling people.
Her name was Brooke too, which is like such the mean
rough.
girl name.
That is a mean girl name.
Well, I mean,
I want to find her now. Somebody find her on Facebook and demand an apology for bullying.
What's her last name?
Brooke. Both the same.
Brooke.
It's all water related.
Oh man.
All right, so you guys kind of touched on it, but would you ever let a friend ask your sister out in front of you?
No.
Like, what the hell?
I don't. Look, I've had plenty of friends go out with my sister. Okay, like you just white knuckle through it. But I guess they're trying to be respectful. But the fact of the matter, I had some of my friends who would say the most vile shit about girls, and then be like, "Okay, but seriously, I think you and your sister and I have a real future together." I'm like, dude, I just heard you for the last couple of years. I was listening to what you had to say, so no. But
that's relatable for sure. Yeah,
that was like the most unrelatable part in the entire episode. Is like, there's no way Matt is just gonna be like, oh yeah, well, dude, you can't date my sister and her friend. That's wrong.
Yeah, but he let her go out with Sly. Like he's pretty nonchalant about it, and good for him for letting her live her life and all that. But I would hope at some point he would be like, "Yo,
do we know who the older sibling is?"
We don't even know if they're twins or not. We don't know.
So like, I might assume by this interaction that Jenny. Okay, they might be twins.
They're fraternal homeschooled.
Or Jenny twins. Is older, and that is why Matt is kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like not, by like a year.
I think the reality is he doesn't do anything because he's afraid of her.
She is a meanie head, that's for sure.
I mean, she calls the one guy Blimpo and Shamu. Like, who knows what she'd call him, and he has to live with her.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
She was his first bully.
You also touched on this one a little bit, but for this gig, they're getting paid in burgers and fries. And for a high school band, that's not a bad deal. My one friend, he's a solo guitarist, and he gets some pretty good gigs. He's got like a steady gig at a one bar where they buy him dinner and a couple drinks and give him like $250, and that's not a bad deal at all. Get some pocket money and a free meal. But I know that as a band that you have to put money into things for promotion and everything else. So there are a lot of times where you're either going to break even, which is like playing for free, but there was still currency exchanged. At what point is it not okay to play for free other than like a charity event where you're playing in Central Park or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, if I said I want you Red Raptors to play tomorrow in my garage, are you guys going to take the show?
I've definitely played in your backyard, so I wouldn't do it tomorrow.
Would you do it again?
No, okay. No. Like, I mean, yeah, George paid us, and it was on our tour, and we got a place to stay, got food, got to see friends. Like that's a great gig. You're not really making a ton of new fans from a show like that. But you will have to play free sometimes, unfortunately, to play in front of the right people, to play with the right band, to hit a different audience, to network. There's a ton of reasons to do it, and people will forever take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, you'd want to perform. But
would you take a Friday night residency for no money?
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
At this point, no. Because we had a Friday residency for 8 years, and I had to pay my band a lot of times to every time to show up. Even though I would have played that show for free because I thought it was a great show, and it was 2 blocks from my house. But for them, it wasn't. So for them, it was like this was like a monthly thing that we had to do, and they need to be getting something for it. So I don't know, Zach, would you?
Yeah, like you said, there are certain shows that are. I mean, South by Southwest is an example of like that's not a show. Typically, those shows, if you're a local or traveling band, like you're not getting paid for those because they're like it's for exposure and you're going to network and meet a bunch of people.
And that's fair.
And I guess it's fair. I mean, a lot of those shows don't have like a cover charge either, or not specifically, because you're getting like access to the festival. So like the venue's only making money off of the drinks as well. And the like show promoters aren't necessarily making much either for stuff like that. Or I don't know. It depends on the size. And I've only done the small ones at South by Southwest. So like where there wasn't a ton of, definitely we weren't getting any money. But I guess that was worth doing at the time. And yeah, there would be some, as far as like residencies for no money for just food.
It just seems weird.
Not currently, no. Like in high school, I think I would have done that in high school. It would have been an opportunity to like sell our own merch and make new fans, practice, just being able to play in front of people at a time when like we weren't doing much of that. So just more opportunity to get your chops up playing live is good.
I want to add real quick that like this does happen a lot.
Oh, sure.
Like the pay to play thing happens, but at least at those venues, they put out like a tip bucket or something, and they let people sell merch, and if it's a free show, which it seems like they didn't say anything about payment on this show as far as people getting in, but it's like Sharky says, like the place is packed. So you would think that he's making money from people buying food because there's a lot of people there.
Right.
So at that point, you charge $5 a head to get in, see the show. The band makes all that money, and Sharky gets his food money. But if nothing else, it's a free show. Put a fucking tip bucket up, pass the hat or whatever. And that sucks that we have to be there. But
yeah, it just seems weird because after they have like all these high gigs, that now they're playing at Sharkeys and Sly's begging for onion rings. But
no, it doesn't make sense.
You did expose the huge flaw in this, that no one is selling merch in any of these shows.
I think at some point, because there will be a plot device, so there'll be merch sold. But as of right now, they have posters, for fuck's sake. Why don't you sell those? Sign the posters.
Maybe they have more of these tapes that Sly played. Maybe he's got some more of those.
Yeah, I guess, do they have an album? It sounded pretty good on that fucking tape, I'll tell you that.
It's like, hey, this tape was from band practice on June 3rd. If you want to hear that, there's just one tape of it. But if you want to hear what we sounded like on June 7th. It sounds
suspiciously like what they exactly played at Sharkeys later.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever had to fight off a friend or try and sabotage a friend's date because you were interested in the same person?
Oh, I mean,
have you, Pete?
No, I mean, I've never sabotaged a friend's date, but I mean, the broader question: have you ever been interested in somebody that your friend was? And yeah, that's happened. I think
absolutely.
I lost that battle, but he lost the war, so you never know.
Yeah, she died.
Yeah, of course. That's right, man. We all went to her funeral together, and we made up. So.
Oh, great.
All right. How do you resolve a fight between two band members over a groupie?
I don't know if specifically about a groupie. I don't have a lot of experience with that, of like band members fighting over the same people.
We're not in Bon Jovi. Yeah.
I mean, I was really just trying to demean Ted without calling him a fat name.
I guess he would be a male groupie then, wouldn't he?
They can just be regular groupies. I know it's normally assumed that it's female, but
yeah, why do you have to make things about gender, Pete?
God damn it.
But maybe we do need to still specify, because we still live in the world we do.
Yeah, but it's 1992, so
yeah, you got to specify. You're right, Pete. You didn't. I
only mean I'm anti-Ted. I'm an anti-Tedite. Okay, I just don't like Ted. It has nothing to do with Ted's dead, baby.
Let's kill him.
How do you resolve a band conflict, though? Like, Zach, you've had to do like two people at practice hating each other.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? You just barrel through it, right? That's all you can do.
You gotta barrel through it, and then you gotta. I mean, I would talk to both of them, try to find a middle ground, try to get them to communicate and resolve
together
their
or
differences.
individually.
Both. Depending on the severity, like, or how awkward they're making it for everybody, and it's just like, well, you brought it up because you're being terrible, but yeah, in general, more like, hey, there is tenseness, and it is obvious, like, so going to them individually, like, you guys got to resolve this.
Come on, we're professionals here.
Come on.
I remember very specifically.
You want your burgers, don't you?
Sharky's not throwing in onion rings unless you tighten up.
I remember very specifically being in a fight with my drummer, and like we hated each other. This was in my band I was in called This Place Is Haunted, and he had it out for me, and I did not like him either. But at that point, we're only specific, like with my band, we were only playing like video game songs and movie songs and TV show themes. So like we were just like livid, and he was being like pretty openly hostile, and I'm pretty non-confrontational, but he was just like spitting fucking barbs. And then I remember our keyboard player was like, "Yo, can you guys just fucking cool it? We got to play Under the Sea now from The Little Mermaid." You know, and we had to just, and we'd be playing like Inspector Gadget or these other Disney songs, like these incredibly goofy fucking songs, like, you know, the Super Mario Brothers theme, and you're just like getting daggers shot at you from this fucking asshole drummer. And it was like in my bedroom at the time. So like my bedroom was just taken up with all band equipment. So like that's like my sanctuary. That's supposed to be like where I feel safe, and this fucking drummer. And because like the band paid money towards rent, like it wasn't a lot, but each person had to throw in like $50 a month or something like that. Like he was like, he wouldn't leave at some points just to fuck with me. And he's like, I pay, so I'm going to come in and practice drums whenever I want. It's like in my bedroom. So like I had to leave my bedroom for this. Like it was totally crazy, toxic, bad. And I was like, if I don't nail this Under the Sea bass line from The Little Mermaid, he's going to have more ammo to throw at me.
You're playing kids' music while he's like sharpening a drumstick, getting ready to shank you.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that bombed? Okay, great.
No, it just froze. I didn't hear what you said. I was going to pretend like you said something gold. So.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sure it was beautiful.
This whole dilemma is, this whole dilemma is totally Matt's fault. Like he could have stopped everything. Like he could have stopped Ted from like trying to date his sister or his friend right in front of him. But instead he just like instigates everything by, you know, making it all awkward in the middle of band practice. Like, hey, you guys can date the same guy. Like, isn't that kind of like the
I think it's true.
Well, I don't know. It's weird because it's not his. Like the decision's not his to make either way, like who his bandmates or friends or sister like dates. So like, I don't know. He never handles things well the first time. That is for sure. Whether it's like his fault that this whole thing went down, I don't think so. I think it's Ted's fault. And I think the Tiffany and Jenny are bad. They're just too horny.
Everyone's horny in this show.
Everyone's horny.
Except Matt. Well, nope, that's not true. Matt was totally taken in by on the Double Date episode. Yeah.
Matt just wasn't horny this time. Matt's either like not horny at all or like ruining everything.
I mean, he cares so much about the band. He's the one that cares about the band the most. Everybody has quit the band at this point, and we're 6 episodes in, except Matt. So
yeah.
Speaking of Randy Joe, is she dead again?
I think we looked it up that she is definitely no longer in other episodes, but I said that before. Who knows?
You did. They got serious. It went from like, let's do the birthday party to now like, we are dating.
Yeah, she got him to play a wedding. I mean, like
we know each other's families. Like I'm doing favors for your family.
Yeah, he didn't just like go to the wedding as a date. He went to the wedding as a date, as like boyfriend with the band playing.
Yeah. Do you think maybe the doing double duty, doing double dates, doing both shows upset her? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they're not together because
he wore roller skates to the wedding.
It's like, why would you wear roller skates? I hired the California Dreams, not the Roller Rockers or whatever they were called.
The rolling portrait of a rocker. Yeah.
Have either of you guys had to beg a band member to come back after they quit? Or
that's a good question. Yes. Yes. Ugh, this is a terrible memory, but yes.
You don't have to get into it.
No, it's just it sucks because like you like it's happened a couple times where it's just like there's just a show that's like really important and somebody has left and they know all the material and you just have to swallow your pride or ego and ask them. And I've had to do that. I remember doing that and oh, this is awful. I said this whole speech because like they left and it was kind of bad blood and I kind of like I had some responsibility in it and I remember just like laying it all out there and I just gave this whole speech and they're like, I didn't want to stop you. Thank you for saying all that. I'm not in the country at that time of the show, so I couldn't have made this show anyway, kind of thing. But they let me go through the whole thing, and I wasn't just saying it to get them to agree to the show. Like I did think that they'd be available and into it. They loved playing with us, but it just didn't work out. But it's ouch. I mean, you grow as a person, but that was tough. I reluctantly had to ask people if they're available before like getting a hired gun. Like it's sometimes it's like we were on TV one time and our drummer had just quit, you know, and we had to ask somebody to fill in. But that was like one song, you know, like one song on television. Worth it, obviously. But trying to find somebody to fill in for a whole set or a whole tour, like then you got to fucking get creative. And some, you know, but there's people in the band that I've worked with that know our entire repertoire, and I would never ask them to come back. So it's not worth the headache. It's not worth the mental health toll that it'll take, you know. No show is worth that. No tour is worth that, you know. And if the tour is that good, like throw down money, pay it back later to get like an actual hired gun if that's their job.
Yeah. Zach, anything to add?
There was one member who sort of like who I don't know, it was kind of a mutual I haven't quite had to like beg somebody to come back, but there's been like I'm done with this and then like coming to a resolution and kind of finding a middle ground afterwards after we both cooled down. Yeah. So that has happened one time. Otherwise everybody who is left is like it's good. Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah.
It's a breakup. Like it's like arguing your way back after a breakup. Like I would do it for a one-time thing, but I have never asked somebody to come back in the band. Like if you left, it's because there was an issue that is not going to get solved. If you're doing something that drastic and that irrational is to just completely quit the band, then I don't want to be in a band with you anyway, because you could do that at any time. Because it looks like you definitely got away with it the first time. So
yeah,
it's,
come back
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And you'll come back for the X sex, but you're not going to put a ring on it.
There it is.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And the members who have left for other reasons, like it's just been, I don't have time for this, or like I got offered a different thing. Like, and we've left on like cordial terms. People I would play with again, but it's, you know, they already sort of have set their boundary of like that, you know, this ran its course and I got to move on.
Yeah. And life happens, you know, there are circumstances where you have to quit a job or a band or something, you know, but
exactly.
Have either of you been so busy or whatever the circumstance, have you ever forgotten like Tony that you had a show the night that you have a show? Like, have you ever just gone to your surfer job and then, I guess I'm not working. I better go drum now.
I'm surfing tonight. That's my job.
No, and I wonder, you have?
I've definitely forgotten a show, but it's mainly been like the residency show we did. I didn't forget that we had a residency show. I forgot that day that I was currently living in was a Friday, like the last Friday of the month. So, no, but I'm pretty on top of it since I'm the one that books all the fucking gigs. So, like, I definitely remember that.
Yeah, same. I think it would be different if, or different for other positions in the band since I manage and book all the stuff as well, that it's kind of hard to not keep up with, because I'm reminded so that I can remind everybody else too, so no one else forgets.
I definitely had shows. I remember we played a jazz club in New York City. It's a really nice jazz club, and our drummer just like was not there. And then like we kept calling, and finally he like picked up and he's like, "What?" And we're like, "Dude, where the fuck are you?" And he like just completely forgot that we had a show. And so he we had our tour van. He was keeping it until our record label like came back up to get it. And so he like just jumped in the van, raced to get there. And we were like, basically got there in like the nick of time kind of thing. But I was like, dude, what a fucking bad look, man. Like, I guess it's like, haha, funny you made it. Like, that's a story. But like, I'm a fucking elephant, man. I'm not going to forget that. You know, I had to pay you to show up late.
Yeah.
Lame.
All right. Last question I have. Zach, do you want to talk about the time when you fired 2 people at once? I wasn't going to get into it, but Pete promised it on the after show. So,
2 dicks at the same time.
2 dicks.
Saying you don't want to get into personal stuff and ruin someone's reputation is a completely acceptable answer.
Oh, I mean, I won't say names or what band it was in or like what year or anything.
It's this show. He's firing both of us right now.
It's both of you. No, there was a show. Somebody got like, it was a big gig and it was too big for fuck ups, and somebody got like blackout drunk on stage. And it was noticeable. Their playing was bad, and like the crowd was growing concerned, and we got through the set. And then one of the other members like just kind of made it about them, that this other person had fucked everything up, and just like was rude to the venue staff, was rude to us, and just like left in a hissy fit. And it wasn't the first time behavior like that had happened from them. So it was kind of final straw for both. And it was, it was.
I can't imagine that from you.
Phone calls were made kind of immediately thereafter.
I've always seen your bands as like structured and all that, and it's like tightly run ship, and everyone seems to be having a good time. But you just like never know what's happening behind the scenes. It's like when I love getting to know bands, it's because like I want to, not that I want to be a gossip queen, but I want to know like how, I don't care how you got together, like how'd you stay together? How have you survived all these years and all these breakups and getting new members and stuff? So it's crazy that at a big show like that, somebody would do that. That sucks. You to go through that.
It was bananas. I mean, it was not a new member. It was, it was somebody we'd played with for a long time. And so it was like, I mean, long enough, to like know better. Yeah. And it's like,
I think maybe they're there that long, they get comfortable with, with it. And that same drummer that I told you about earlier, that was just like, just a super toxic person to me. I remember like he would just got wasted before a show. And I remember telling him like, I was like, can you not get real drunk before the show? Cause it's kind of important. And then he started doing yoga in front of me and to show me that he wasn't drunk. And he started doing this like pose. And he's like, I bet you can't do this because you're fat.
Jesus.
So he's like, leave me alone. Like, I'll do whatever I want. And then he proceeded to play the show super fucking drunk, and it was like a hometown show for him when we were on tour. And I was like, okay, man, I can't do fucking crow pose, but you're a fucking dick. So,
man, what a nightmare.
Like yoga is the metric to measure any kind of like sobriety and or music ability.
Like, yeah. And I wasn't like being, look, I'm as non-confrontational as I come to like a fault and like to the fact that it would be better if I was just more confrontational. But I was like, dude, you're like, it's like your fourth double vodka before the gig. Like, let's just chill, you know, you can smoke some weed, take the edge off, whatever. But like, I couldn't even voice an opinion after a while. So it just sucked.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah. And I never got to fire him, you know, we collectively as a band fired him, you know, basically he was like, I leave or Pete leaves kind of thing. And he was like, if Pete stays in the band, he just gets to be the mascot because he started the band. He doesn't get to write songs. He doesn't do anything. just sit there and play your bass. He's like, you have more strings on that bass than you'll ever know what to do with. I was like, hey, whatever voice in my head, why don't you be quiet? Like, I'm the only one allowed to say that to me. This encore show is just getting dark. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I don't know if the bigger the band too. It doesn't have to be very big, but like, actually, yeah, it doesn't really have to do with numbers. But like, the times when I've had like toxic people in bands, like they almost always try to find like the most either influential or like second most toxic person and like glom onto them and pit them against usually me or other members in the band.
It's just
so like it's a bully. That one time like both left at the same time and they were related and that sort of happened, but like that's happened a few times where there's been like two people who left pretty close to each other.
Yeah,
like often because somebody's like planting seeds. We had a band like band member saying that like claiming that our bass player was doing meth and that I was doing it too with them. And
that's why you're so skinny. Fuck.
That's why I'm so skinny. And like was telling the other band members that was happening and like it was starting to catch on a little bit. It's like this we're not so we never did meth.
Mathematician.
But yeah. And then yeah, that was a almost actually yeah, funny enough that like almost the like almost left where I had to like beg them back in was like around that time. When like,
come on, I'll let you call me a meth head. Come back for another gig.
Zach
no, it wasn't the meth. It wasn't the person who said it was a meth head. It was the person who was like, I don't think they're doing meth, but also like, what if they are? And like, it was the person who started to like sort of doubt me and themselves and was like, I don't know, maybe this person's right. And it was like they weren't gonna leave because of that, but it was just. Like it was all during that time.
So the negative person like trying to conspire with another person kind of a thing. Is that just like part of a rock style lifestyle thing that comes up?
That's everywhere. That's you've worked office jobs that people definitely do this shit.
The difference is though, like if you're successful in your quest, you break up the band and you no longer have a band. Like, you know, like there's no thought of the consequences involved with that.
The outcome is not really a great one, even for the person who succeeds in it. It usually, if I notice it's happened when somebody is feeling a lack of control in the band or in the like job or in their lives too. And there's like, they're trying to gain some bit of control, even if that's being seeding doubt for the other members, or just shit talking.
I mean, music does attract a lot of people who are less stable also.
Well,
we are some unstable folks here.
Okay.
I mean, just because
right.
there's a lack of security, there's no safety net in what you do. You have to be successful. Or you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Or even if you are, you're not getting paid except in onion rings. So
exactly. Yeah. The uncertainty is all a part of it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that goes both ways of like, it attracts people who are sort of unstable, but also like more stable people might have more grace for the instability because that's all they know. So it's like Pete and I just doing our best, trying to like run ships the best we can, and other,
we're tortured artists. Leave us alone.
Stop bullying us.
Stop bullying us.
All right, gentlemen, that's all I have for you. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. Thanks for being a Patreon supporter.
Stay tuned. A lot.
Stay tuned for some fun extra content that we're going to be doling out here.
The extra content.
Yeah, and I don't know. Leave a review. Tell a friend about the show, and yeah, put us on blast on social media. Get us canceled. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. This has been a Waning Moon production.